I always like to tell people, fun fact, you can do anything sober.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Like you can do anything sober
true.
and it's always super fun. And so I'd love to hear about the lineup that you have for this year. One of the artists has reached out to me and we're trying to connect, but I'd love to hear about who you have.
Excellent. Yeah. So we've got a number of this year, some who have been with us before. I think Analog Youth played with us before. The Money Bristle Cone has played with us before. Broken Habits, they played last year. Just before Koichi, again, we had him back last year. He was unavailable this year as he's getting married. I don't understand.
I guess.
These priorities,
okay, whatever.
These promises coming true and all that.
Welcome back to the Sober Curator. This is your bonus buzz. Today, we're talking to someone who turned a moment of despair into a day of celebration. Chris Rice is one of the founders of Soberfest Ohio, a vibrant, family-friendly festival now in its 13th year. What started as a dream inside a treatment center has become a full-blown annual tradition, a drug and alcohol-free event filled with live music, powerful speakers, food trucks, family fun, and meaningful community connections. Whether you're in recovery, sober curious, or an ally, Soberfest is proof that you don't need substances to have an incredible time. Chris is here to tell us how it all began, what keeps the spirit of Soberfest alive, and how you can be a part of it if you're in or near Ohio. Yeah, I'm super excited to get to know you and hear more about this festival. And so let's just just dive right in. Tell me a little bit about yourself and how the festival came to be and your involvement. I basically want to know everything.
Oh boy, here we go. Well, my name is Chris Rice. I am part of the committee for Soberfest Ohio. Soberfest actually started 13 years ago. It was started by a group. They used to do it in a park, a small park, just have bands up on stage. And it was really started, one of the guys who was on our committee kind of started it. He was disappointed. He was getting sober. He'd always been, part of, going to shows and did lighting for shows, actually. So being around music and that whole scene was really part of what he was. And he really felt by getting sober, he was going to be giving that up. And I think his sponsors basically said, do something about it, and that's it. And so they started having this little festival and, just bringing people together. And it was kind of like, bring food, maybe do a pig roast and do something. It was pretty informal. And that went on for probably about 7 or 8 years until COVID. And then it just kind of stopped, and took a few years off. And so then just coming out of COVID, so in 2023, just before the summer before, I guess, so in 22, this guy came to us, and my wife and I have been doing some work with him on some other stuff, and he's like, "Hey, I'll help you guys out if you help me with something." Like, okay, sir. Not knowing what we were getting into, and he's like, "I want to do this Soberfest thing and bring it back." And so we decided to bring it back and really make it bigger and better than before. And so we started with we got a great location for it. Had a big stage, really a professional stage that we put up. We did the food ourselves that first year. We did do a pig roast, and we had volunteers helping us out, and it was interesting to say the least. I mean, it was we were able to raise some money. We raised a lot of sponsorship money, but the event went off. I mean, making our food, we learned some things along the way, but we got a great turnout, and then like a monsoon hit. I mean, it was just unbelievable. So I think we got through 1, maybe 2 bands and had to shut down. It
was a literal monsoon?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's what it felt like. I mean, tents flying around, downpour, mud, cars stuck in mud, just crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. So we're like, all right. And so that was our parking lot was this church. We told them, hey, if you can keep the money for parking, charge for parking if you want, you guys can keep it. And, so they did that. I think they were selling. And I think after that, whoever owned that property was not going to let us do that again because they tore it up pretty bad. I mean, it was all a grass field basically. So we said, okay, so let's figure it out. So we decided to, look for a new venue. We thought, okay, we have something here. People will come out, and maybe find something with an indoor option as well. So we found the county fairgrounds. We're able to work out a deal with them and move it there for last year. So last year, no. So it must be 2 years ago now. We moved there. So it was 3 years. 3 years ago we started back with this. But in any case, we moved it there. Great venue, huge open parking. They have their own parking facilities set up. So we actually started charging for parking ourselves. So that's our main revenue. We don't charge for admission. And we set up in the fairground space, and they have an indoor building and an outdoor space where we set up the stage. And we had 5 bands. Kalichi was our headliner. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, out of Pittsburgh. He's pretty popular around in these, I'd say at least in the East, but I just saw he was in Vancouver. He did the Soberfest in Vancouver last weekend. Mm-hmm. And he's great performer, drew a lot of people. So we had him as our headliner, and the event was great. Went off without a hitch. We made a little bit of money that we could, invest back into. We had a partner at the time, for a nonprofit that we were able to, contribute some money back to them. And then went ahead last year and continued on the same spot. And we did decide to bring in food trucks. We were not going to do our own food again. That was one mistake that we made. So we brought in some food trucks, and we don't charge them to be there. We try to find people who are related to the community. Sure. We have one guy who's sober, who actually has a food truck. He comes in. People who are at least allied. That's kind of what we look for. Yep. But it's not a requirement. Yeah, same for the bands as well. And a couple areas that have grown tremendously is we do a kids area. We want to make it family friendly. We want people to bring out their kids, bring out the family, spend the day with us. So that's an area that really took off a lot. We have a walking magician. We have face painting. We have balloon artists. We do arts and crafts back there. Just a great way for the people to spend time with their kids. And then we have a resource fair that I just checked as of this year. We're up to 60 different resources will be part of the festival this year. So that's anything from treatment centers, yoga studios, metaphysical health, the mental health, state, city, county. So we're trying to get, anybody who wants to be a part of it. We're trying to also add people who may be interested in hiring people who maybe have,
that's amazing.
Checkered backgrounds.
I love that.
That's an area we want to get into more and grow that out. So we're really excited. I mean, we've got things are coming along. It's August 31st this year. We always do it the Sunday of Labor Day weekend. And we do have, the ability at this fairgrounds. We have an indoor, they have like a rodeo rink. If we needed to bring it in, we could bring it inside. It'd be kind of loud, but we could do it. So we're ready to go. That's
amazing. I love the background. That's so exciting. I'm not surprised that it's growing at all. I always like to tell people, fun fact, you can do anything sober.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
Like you can do anything sober, and it's always super fun. And so I'd love to hear about the lineup that you have for this year. One of the artists has reached out to me and we're trying to connect, but I'd love to hear about who you have.
Excellent. Yeah. So we've got a number of groups this year. Some who have been with us before. I think Analog Youth played with us before. The Muddy Bristle Cone has played with us before. Broken Habits, they played last year, just before Kalichi. Again, we had him back last year. He was unavailable this year because he's getting married. I don't understand.
I guess. Okay, whatever.
These promises coming true and all that. But we've got a few other bands that'll be this year. Whirl, Rock This Way, Pilot to Pluto, and Matt Keegan are going to be part of the lineup this year. So we've got a great lineup. We also do mix in. We have 2 speakers that will speak during the day. So we break up the bands a little bit, try to get a little bit of recovery in there with our speakers. And that's it. But really trying to keep it fun, keep the music going all day long as, much as we can. We have a DJ in between. We're doing some motorcycle games this year. That's something new we're going to try to bring out some more people and something else to do. And yeah, that's what we'll be doing this year.
That just sounds like a blast. That just sounds like such a good time. Have you, you brought in the food trucks. I'm interested. Have you been approached or are you working with any non-alcoholic beverages, any of the NA beers or seltzers?
Yeah, we try to avoid them. We have not. There are still a lot of people in recovery, I think have, maybe not comfortable with even NA beers.
Yep.
Or even we were approached last year by, one of the, I don't know, the NA liquor companies, or NA gin or whatever it is.
Spirits.
Botanicals. Yes, there you go. Yes. And we made a decision not to allow that in. We have had great support actually from Liquid Death. They've provided us
they're
with
a great brand.
They've donated the past couple of years. They've donated drinks to us, which we sell, and that's again another way we can make money. We charge like $2 a can, which is cheaper than retail, I think. Or we try to keep it very. We try to keep everything we do very cost effective. Yeah, we're just trying to make sure that we can keep it going. Support it through. Again, we have been fortunate to have really strong sponsorship support through local businesses, mostly owned by people in recovery. And then also we sell T-shirts, and just beverages. So we do water and Liquid Death. That's pretty much it. We had Red Bull came in last year. They had one of their cars there. They handed out Red Bulls for a while. People love that. And so that's pretty much what we've done with that piece of it.
Have you in your vendor space, you mentioned there's like 60 or so. Are any of them like makers? Do you have anybody making crafts or arts that are bringing things in?
One or two. That's an area we haven't tapped into too much yet. We have one or two tables who do some makers. They're doing some things. We in the past, as it grows, I think we'll be able to expand that more. I would like to. We've always been kind of, we're trying to make sure like we don't want anybody selling T-shirts because that's one of our only revenue streams. So we try to sell the T-shirts, and we don't, again, trying to keep it affordable. Not, if people want to spend, they can spend, but we really want to make sure that people, even if they don't have any money, a lot of people in treatment centers don't have money. We try to make sure we can make it work for them. So, as we grow and get more people coming in, I think that's an area that we will probably expand into more and more. One other thing I will mention, as of last year, we did partner with a new, title sponsor, we'd say. We're under the umbrella of the Serenity Street Foundation. So that's our nonprofit arm. We've really partnered with them. It's a sober living program for men here in Columbus, where it's a faith-based operation where guys, they commit for a 12-month program, having to commit to so many meetings a week. And it really helps them re-enter into society. We hope we have a number of relationships with employers. So the guys get into the program, they have a month to kind of transition, then they start working and really help them save money throughout the year. They're given a stipend each week, but then the rest of the money is put away. So by the time they leave, hopefully they have the opportunity of not only a strong foundation of faith and sobriety, but also a financial foundation for them to be able to go out and get an apartment and start doing that.
I'd love to learn more about that organization. That's fantastic. I will make sure that they get added to our nonprofit resource guide. That's so great.
Awesome. That'd be great.
Where do you see, so this is definitely growing and you're going to have another successful year. I have no doubt. What does success look like 3 years from now?
I think continuing to grow. I think one thing that we want to do is we do have a very small group who are putting this together each year, to be able to extend that, get more people involved, to be able to run it and kind of pass the torch a bit, getting people who are really committed to this and be able to do that. That would be one thing. Just, I'd love to, work with other, I've noticed, there are a number of other Soberfests out there. As we mentioned, the one in British Columbia that we've seen. I've seen some in Milwaukee. To start to see how we can help each other, grow and maybe turn this into something that'd be fantastic. Our dream is to be, one of the stadiums here in town, play a real stadium festival. Yeah. That would be pretty wild. That would be awesome, but that's something that, as time goes on, maybe, but again, keeping with our model, we want to keep it really family friendly, inexpensive to attend. We want to make sure we stick with that.
I think it could be really interesting, and maybe we'll wait till you get to on the other side of the festival, but to bring a panel together of all of these different Soberfests and different parts of the continent and get together and talk about best practices so that the metropolitan areas or even rural areas that don't have anything like this, like what it takes to get started, and maybe share what you've learned, some of the hard things, so that some areas that want to come in and do this kind of have a playbook they could follow.
No question. I think that'd be fantastic. And, we'd be happy to be a part of that. Because I really think it's something, and we try to, we're based here in Columbus, it's where our event is. We try to market and, reach out to people throughout the state and even into Indiana, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, as much as we can, Michigan, even to see if we can pull people from there. And, we had quite a few coming from Pennsylvania. Again, when we had Kalichi here, he's from Pittsburgh, pulled a lot of people in from there, but it's, something as we grow. And I think that's, getting bigger, some bigger acts and more national acts. But again, that comes down to having the money to do it.
Yeah. Or you find ones that are either sober or sober allies that are maybe even willing
to who would be willing to do it.
Donation or whatnot.
I mean, there are some out there, we definitely know of some, we hear a lot about many of them, and there's some here in town that we'd love to get.
Well, that's amazing. I'd love to know how the Sober Curator ended up on your radar. Do you know by chance?
I believe it was through just social media. Actually, I think I came across it. I've been getting the newsletter, getting your emails, and just find it very interesting. Love the content. And just, this year we're trying, one of the things I've been doing recently is trying to make a push to get more media out there about the event. And not just for the event, but just for the, there's such a demand out there for resources for addiction and mental health. And so trying to get as connected as possible with those so we can pull them in. I said, we've grown from, I think, 25 resources to 60, which is great. I mean, there's just a lot more, and people do tell us, this is one of the best events they do, which is great. They're getting people to actually interact with them as well and learning about it. I think last year, we actually had somebody on site be taken directly to treatment, which was awesome. Wow. It's like things like that. We had like one of the local groups. It's a central outreach. They do Hep C testing and HIV testing, and they have found that they, at this event they get more people into care than at any other event they do throughout the year, which is awesome. And those are the kind of things that really mean a lot to us. That we can really make an impact in the community. One thing I'm excited about this year is we actually our event falls on Overdose Awareness Day. So which I just found out about, so we're trying to, see how we can connect and bring that into it more. Because a lot, what I'm seeing is a lot of the government agencies are, facing cutbacks in funding. So if there's anything we can do to help give them a presence, we're happy to do that. Because I think, it's really more about building the community and, removing stigma with not only addiction, but mental health. I believe they go hand in hand. So anything we can do for that, just healthy lifestyle, healthy living, that's what we're here for.
It would be so interesting if the person who went to treatment from last year is still sober, to get their take on it. I mean, you never know in this community. But I would also, if you've got someone that you can dedicate the day of to going around and just doing testimonial little social media videos on why are you here? How'd you hear about it? Why do you love it? Getting some of those clips, I think, would be really smart.
Yeah, those are things that we're, again, as we learn more each year, I agree. I think that's something we can definitely do a better job. And I think we'll be doing that this year, trying to get some of that. That's always something that it's so hard. We have a team that's been kind of doing our social media. They're all volunteers. They've done an amazing job for us, just continuing to promote our partners and just keeping us top of mind, hopefully. So they'll be on site and trying to gather some content while we're there. It's just so hard as we're all kind of scrambling around trying to keep the event moving throughout the day.
It's a lot of work. People do not realize how much work things like this are. They're like, it's just a couple hours. How hard could it be? And it's like, no, it's months and months and months of a whole team of people putting in hours and hours and hours and hours. Like, it's a lot of work to pull something like this off.
Yeah, we've grown our volunteer base, which is great. And our volunteer this year is trying to get more new people involved. So, we're all each area we kind of learn a little bit each year, and try to get a little bit better in how we do it, a little bit more buttoned up, and which hopefully makes things go easier the day of, go a little bit smoother. That's all we can hope for.
Well, hopefully no more monsoons, right? Hopefully.
Exactly. That's it. We have a rain option. We are rain or shine, but we'd rather not, because it will be a mess. Rain's always a mess.
I mean, I live in the Pacific Northwest. I'm very accustomed. I'm very accustomed to rain. And, this has sparked my interest. We don't have something like this here, but our version of it that I work on is in September, in the middle of September, we do Recovery Day at the Mariners at the ballpark.
Oh, that's awesome.
We put 3,000 people in a section, and they turn off all the beer in that portion of the stadium.
Yeah.
And we meet at a park just down the road from the stadium, for a rally and for vendors. And then we do a march to the stadium. And
that's super cool.
It's really cool. It's family friendly. It's really cool, not just for the people that are sober and in recovery, but also for the allies. I actually think it is going to be the sober allies that help us tip the curve on inclusivity as it comes to the stigma around this community.
Yeah.
They're the ones that will be the biggest catalyst for change. I think we're seeing it. And I think we have a long ways to go, right?
Sure. But no, I think everything we can do and just bringing people together, as that we try to make everything as inclusive as possible. We've got some of the vendors that we have this year, just trying to expand our reach so we can get, again, it's beyond just sober, again, whether it be a yoga studio or a metaphysical health or float spa, anything like that. We want to bring them all in because we want to just get more inclusivity. I mean, that's really part of our dream, I guess. So people just want to come to an event where there's no alcohol. That's it.
Yeah. And you'll still have a good time. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And there's no consequences after the fact. Yeah.
Exactly. You hope not anyway.
You hope not anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But no, we're super excited. I mean, it's continues to grow, and I think we'll just each year we'll get a little bit better.
Well, I can't wait to follow up with you after the festival and hear how the success was. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on your social media. Where can our listeners find you?
So we are available on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Our Facebook page is probably has the most updated information. We're trying to do a little bit better with the others as well. Or at soberfestohio.com is our website. Soberfestoh@gmail.com is our email. Feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to discuss, anybody who wants to come in or just anything, any allies or anybody who's interested in learning more about what we do. We'd love to have them here. Or with Serenity Street, it's serenitystreet.org is the website for that. So anybody who wants to learn more about what Serenity Street does, I'd love to have them visit that as well.
Well, I love all that information. We'll include all of that in the article and in the show notes. And Chris, I just want to thank you so much for your time today and for the work you're doing for the community. It's so important.
So happy to be, it's a part of what, keeps us going, and to me, the fellowship and, giving back is part of what helps me stay sober. So that's why I'm here.
Well, that was a great little bonus buzz with Chris. From humble beginnings to a high energy, heart forward festival, Soberfest Ohio is more than just a day of fun. It's a movement that celebrates recovery, resilience, and real connection. A huge thanks to Chris Rice for reminding us that sobriety doesn't mean the end of joy. It can be the beginning of something even better. To learn more or to get involved, head over to soberfestohio.com and find your place in this growing community. Until next time, keep it real, keep it fun, and keep it sober.